Hi there, I'm Danny Flexen. Welcome to the latest edition of SecondsOut FLEXpectations. We're here every Thursday at 4:30 PM to take a look in our crystal ball at events coming up in the world of boxing. And this Saturday we've got a show, another live show in the UK, which is always a relief because it gives us something quite easy to talk about. Emanating once again from BT Studios, Frank Warren and Queensbury Promotions, putting on their second behind closed doors event since the lockdown restrictions began to be eased. A main event this time around, it's one of the tune-up fights to lead us up to the big October pay-per-view clash between Daniel Dubois and Joe Joyce. Dubois in action later in August, but for this one on Saturday night, Joe Joyce takes centre stage, and he hasn't been out for a while, so he certainly needs the action. And he should get a fairly impressive victory over the German Michael Wallisch, who I had the pleasure of meeting earlier this week. It's one of those fights where it can be presented as a risk, but really it's not much of one, in my view. Wallisch has got a nice looking record. I think it's like 30 wins, 3 defeats, something like that. But those 3 defeats have come in his last 4 fights, and they've all been before the halfway point or within 6 rounds. I think maybe within 5 rounds. He's lost to the likes of Christian Hammer, Tony Yoka, who of course beat Joyce on the way in the Olympic final in 2016, somewhat contentiously. And yeah, got stopped in both of those. And then more recently lost to Efe Ajagba, who's a huge prospect. A lot of people are very high on him. But it just shows where Wallisch's level is. And it surprised me, and I've said this before, that even though Joe's the more experienced operator compared to Dubois, certainly as an amateur and has fought a better opposition thus far as a pro, he seems to have the lesser test out of the German imports that have come over to gate crash the party, if you like. Dubois has got Eric Pfeiffer, and we'll preview that in depth when the show comes up. Eric Pfeiffer's a 2-time Olympian, unbeaten as a pro, so at the moment we don't know where his ceiling is. Wallisch, on the other hand, has already been exposed at a certain level. Now, it's a good level. He's been stopped by very good fighters, well-rounded fringe world contender in Hammer, hot prospect in Ajagba and Yoka. But that said, we know where he's going, and it's not where Joyce wants to be. He's not as good as Bermain Stiverne, even though Stiverne was out of shape. He's not as good as Brian Jennings, who Joyce beat more recently. So it's hard to see him putting up too much of a test. He's hittable by nature. He's a big guy. Joyce, volume puncher, hits hard with every shot. Relentless, athletic. Not the fastest, as people pointed out. Not always the most technically skilled. But he's very, very hard to beat as a heavyweight because he employs a style that we're more used to seeing in the lighter weight classes. And he should have far too much for Wallisch. I don't see it going much past 3 rounds, to be honest, on Saturday. I mean, Joyce will have to shake off some ring rust. He's working with Stephen Broughton rather than his normal trainer, or most recent trainer at least, and early trainer in his pro career as well, Ishmael Salas, who's unable to be here. And Joe was unable to go over to Vegas to train with him because of the ongoing travel restrictions. He'll hope that gets rectified before the Dubois fight in October. But Joyce knows what he's doing now. He's at a stage and an age, he'll turn 35 in September, where he is what he is. He's got a lot of physical gifts. He's got a style that's uncommon for the heavyweight division and lives up to the moniker, the Juggernaut, and he should steamroll Wallisch fairly comfortably. No disrespect to him, he's a great guy when I met him, but, hashtag levels, like the kids are saying these days. Somewhat ironically, in that Joyce is obviously building up to his big fight with Dubois, and 3 of Dubois' young Peacock Gym stablemates are on the same bill as Joyce, and quite possibly could steal the show from the big man. You've got Chris Bourke, former GB rep, stepping up for the first time really as a pro, going up against Ramez Mahmoud for the vacant Southern Area Super Bantamweight title. Be interested to see how well Mahmoud makes the weight. He's 5'6", 2 inches taller than Bourke. Has never come close to 122 pounds before. The lowest he's been is 125. Former Southern Area champion at featherweight. Won a good fight against Jack Budge to take that. Technically adept, good fighter, tough, sturdy, solid. But Bourke looks a little bit special. He's had a great pedigree at the GB team. Also spars some world-class performers, both amateur and pro. Getting people out there as well early in his career, despite fighting journeymen who most of the time come just to survive. Great body puncher as well, and just really coming on in that thriving Peacock Gym setup. And I really like Mahmood. He's a great guy. Social media very entertaining as well, and I think he'll put up a good fight. But I see Bourke, this is his coming out party, if you like, and I see him winning sometime after the halfway point of their 10-rounder, probably with body shots being a pivotal component of that victory. You've also got his good friend Louie Lynn, featherweight, going up against Monty Ogilvie. I expect Lynn to do the business and look really good doing so. Ogilvie had a Celtic area title fight, or Celtic title fight rather, in his last one. Got dropped 5 times on the way to defeat. Louie Lynn, very fast, great footwork, skillful, but packs a punch as well. And I think he can really make the most of this showcase on Saturday night. And then completing the trio, and probably with the toughest test out of the 3 of them, is Denzel Bentley, middleweight prospect from London. Great guy, very charismatic, should do more interviews because he's very good at them. But that aside, he's going up against Preston's Mick Hall, who's mixed in better company, very experienced. Lost most recently to Jack Armfield. He's lost twice to Armfield, actually, once in prize fighter and then more recently for a WBA interstrap over the longer distance. But good fighter, technically skilled, tall, 6 foot, from Preston. Took around 2 years out before he came back in November against Ambomo, kind of rush shedding exercise. But it's a bit worrying that quite late on into his career he's taken that amount of time out. I don't know the reasons behind it, but Bentley's been more active. He's only fought 1 fighter, Denzel Bentley, who's come in with a winning record, and that was Kelsey Ball, but he destroyed Ball in a round. So it just shows that when the stakes are raised, he can also rise to the occasion. And I expect him to do so against Mick Hall. I'm not sure it'll be over as early as the Kelsey Ball fight was, but I do expect it to be the 3rd of 3 inside schedule victories for the Peacock boys on show. I think you should all tune in. I think the 3 undercard fights are likely to be a bit more competitive than the main event, but you get to see some real good talent in action. And I think Mahmood Bourke especially will be quite a competitive fight, but I expect Joyce to get the job done with a minimum of fuss. Let me know what you guys think about my predictions and how you make up those 4 fights. There's 5 on the bill. Henry Turner's on there as well. But let me know what you think, and I'll respond to some of the comments below. I'll be back on Monday to look back on this show, 4:30 p.m. in Reflections. And next week, FLEXpectations, we'll preview the first week of Fight Camp. So I'm sure you'll be looking forward to that. I'll see you all on either Monday or Thursday, hopefully both, and I appreciate your time. Cheers.